Whatever happened to kindness? We live in a world starving for kindness. I grew up with a very simple saying that told us a lot about our understanding of kindness. A nadie se le niega un vaso de agua. Or in English, nobody is denied a glass of water. In a hot Caribbean island with a hot and shining sun, we understood that everyone was worthy of water. To refuse to do so was to deny the very humanity that the other person had. Do you remember the early days of the internet? In the early days, the internet was full of videos of cats chasing lasers, dogs chasing their own tails, and funny vines. To social media, the entire world is accessible to the comfort of our own pocket, and yet this connection has a sharp edge. Somewhere between the early days of viral cat videos and the modern age of digital warfare, we lost our way. In the blink of an eye, we transitioned from lighthearted fun to attacking the left, the right, and the center with little regard for the imago Dei, the image of God, in those on the other side of the screen. The algorithm knows that we care more about something hateful and controversial. That's because we click on it. We see the evil that humans are capable of, so we have an inherent suspicion on almost every interaction that we have with anyone. We're so emotionally depleted with stress that it becomes harder to extend kindness to others. And yet, for Christians, kindness is not optional. Kindness flows from the very work that the Holy Spirit does within us. And today we're going to see not only why kindness is important, but how Jesus modeled kindness for us to follow. Let's jump in. As we discussed over the last couple of weeks, the fruit of the Spirit is the natural outcome of the Holy Spirit work within us. And as we see in Galatians 5, verses 22 to 23, there's only one Holy Spirit working within us, that it produces one fruit that is reflected in 9 different ways. And we're not in the fruit aisle of the supermarket where we kind of get to pick and choose what fruits that we want. So in other words, we can't say, well, I want some love and I'll take some joy, but forget about patience and I don't really care about self-control. To be a Christian is to be willing to be transformed into something new constantly. So the fruits are necessary. It is not good enough for us to say, this is just the way that I am. Transformation is expected in the Christian journey on a regular basis. So let's focus on Matthew 11, 20 to 30 and see what it has to teach us. Matthew has told us from the beginning that Jesus was the Messiah that the Old Testament promised. And Jesus has started his ministry with the Sermon on the Mount, challenging the status quo that a lot of the leadership of the time was benefiting from. And by Matthew 11, we start to see how people are reacting to Jesus. Do they like him? Do they not? So Jesus is teaching to the crowds when we get our verses, the one that we're studying and looking specifically at today. These verses are important to us, not only because they teach us directly about kindness, but more importantly, because in his teaching, Jesus shows kindness to the crowd in a way that we should follow. In other words, Jesus modeled kindness for us. Jesus could have simply said, hey, I'm the Messiah. If you don't believe in me, just leave. That is your problem. You could argue that the single fact that Jesus left his status in heaven to come and be with us is enough kindness. Yet, hear how Jesus speaks to the crowd and what words specifically he uses. Matthew 11, verse 28 reads like this: "Come to me, all of you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Wow. Do you know what needs to happen in order for me to know that you're weary and burdened? I have to see you. I have to notice you. I have to value enough in order to prioritize your situation. I'm going to understand that you were created in the image of God and therefore worthy of my time and effort. I have to slow down enough to notice your problem. And finally, I need to know you enough to see that something is wrong with you to begin with. Can you see the kindness in Jesus' approach and how he talks to the people in the crowd? Jesus is tenderly and humbly offers, even when he knew that many of them, if not most of them, will ignore his call. All Christians were weary and burdened. Every single one of us heard the voice of Jesus when we were weary and burdened in our sin and our problems. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be here to begin with. Jesus saw us, prioritized us, valued us, and offered us rest. How can we not offer by grace what we ourselves has received by grace from Jesus? Verse 29 continues, says, "Take my yoke upon you, Learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. We often associate kindness with easy. Yet, pay attention to the words of Jesus. There is a yoke that you have to carry. The idea of yoke comes from animals that help with the planting and the harvesting in the farm. The yoke that the animals carry on their back provided direction for their efforts. Instead of kind of going everywhere and anywhere that the animal wanted, the yoke focused their efforts on a specific direction. The Old Testament compares the idea of yoke with discipleship on multiple occasions, and this is the reality of discipleship. Discipleship provides us with direction in our spiritual growth. To be clear, you are going to take the yoke, but I am going to teach you. I'm with you. I'm not leaving you alone in this process. I'm going to be with you in every step of the way. Kindness does not lower the standard, but rather creates a loving environment where you can reach the standard. Lowering the standards is actually unkind. Jesus knows that it will put us in a position to fail in our spiritual development. So you won't hear what you have to learn. You won't grow where you have to grow. That in and out of itself is unkind. Jesus is essentially saying, it is hard, but you got this. I am with you. I'm teaching you. That is kind. The standard is high, but I am gentle, and I will give you rest in the process. Verse 30 continues, says this, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. As a basketball coach, I must see the team. I got to know the team. I know their weaknesses and their strength. And to lower the standards that they will need to compete with in practice will be unkind for them in the actual game when they go to play. Yet Jesus did not yell or scream. The standard is the standard, but I'm with you. Because of that, the yoke is easy and my burden is light. We're taking one step at a time. In the Greek, the word translated easy here is Christos. And the same word is translated multiple times as kind in other parts of the New Testament. In other words, Jesus' yoke is actually kind. It lifts you up in a time of need as opposed to overburdening you. If that is not the case, you are misunderstanding something. Something is not working like it should, and you need to start again. If Jesus is our example here, then how could I imitate him as I approach others with kindness? See the need of those around you, right? Pay attention to what they're going through. Treat them as bearers of the image of God, worthy of your time and attention. Love them. And more importantly, help them reach the standard. So we'll close with a question as we always do. The question is this: what is one practical and concrete way that you can show Christ-like kindness to someone important in your life this week? This week, we are a part of something that we call Serve Kissimmee. So if we were to come to church on Sunday, then you would have seen us going into projects throughout the whole community, doing acts of kindness in different nonprofit organizations. So I'm going to challenge you to do the same, right? Think about a way that you can make a difference in somebody's life. Is it your neighbor? Is it your family member? How can you show kindness? And again, kindness is just this fluffy concept. It's just kind of superficial, but it's at the very core of what it means to be Christ-like, at the very core of what it means to imitate Christ in our lives. I want to invite you to be a part of our church. If you made it this far, then I definitely want you to invite you and be a part of our weekly services. So we meet every Sunday, 10:30 a.m. at Open Table Church, right in 263 Church Street in downtown Kissimmee, right next to the City Hall. And we would love for you to be able to come and be able to connect with other people who are trying to be in this journey and be the best version of themselves, to be Christ-like and to be like Christ in everything that they do. This table is big, it's open, and there's a place for you.